About 9 months ago, we opened a series of teaching in podcast format called Insight to the End Times. And we have been sharing every day, 6 days a week, on where we are in God's timetable, what kind of events are occurring that point us towards the end. And whenever you're getting ready for an event, let's say we're talking about a sporting event like a Super Bowl, football Super Bowl. It occurs in the early part of the year, like latter part of January, first part of February. The games become far more intense as we head into December. The outcomes are far more important. So there's far more of everything occurring, more training, more preparation, more strategy, hours and hours and hours and hours getting ready, watching game film. And then as they head into the final week before the game, everything is just absolutely a whole different environment. They are together as a team. They're in a hotel. They're away from their families. They are going through practices. They're going through strategy sessions. They have total attention on the game. Well, that's where we are in life. That's where we are on God's timetable. The intensity of life is becoming very intense. The frequency of events that are prophesied as end-time events are just occurring on a daily and hourly basis. Things are becoming far, far, far more involved than they ever were before. It's just absolutely overwhelming. So yesterday, we were talking about events that are described in Matthew 24, and we talked about deception, and we talked about wars and rumors of wars and all kinds of things. We talked about false prophets and false teachers. And I want to focus our attention today on an event that has recently occurred in the month of November. Is a gathering of world leaders, world elite, at a climate change or a climate conference over in Egypt. Now, these are occurring on a regular basis. They have had recent events of a similar nature. And when they hold these massive events, it's not just a handful of people who gather. In this particular event, they said there were between 30 and 40,000 attendees or delegates to this big worldwide, this global climate awareness conference. And who speaks at these conferences? Well, they're political leaders, government leaders, business leaders, industrial leaders, educational leaders, and so on and so forth. What are they meeting for? They're meeting to devise things that they can do to save the planet. They want to reduce pollution. They want to reduce the carbon content in the air and so on and so forth. In other words, these environmentalists have become fixated on doing away with fossil fuels. Now, I'm not here to go one way or the other on this. I'm just telling you and want to share with you today that something's out of whack. Because if you have 30 to 40,000 people gathered together to discuss how are we going to control the environment, how are we going to reduce pollution, how are we going to save the planet, and fossil fuels are the main culprit, therefore we have to cut out the coal and the oil and the gas, we have to go to solar power and to green power, and we need to go to electric vehicles, which somehow or other need to be charged on a daily basis, and the electricity to charge them has to be produced somehow and somewhere. And it seems to me at this point in time, fossil fuels are required to do that. But my point is this: 30 to 40,000 of them flew into Egypt for this conference on jets. And when you have that many people gathered together, you don't just have 6 jets, airplanes. You have a massive, massive, massive congregation of these planes. So why is it possible that they can fly these gas-guzzling, fuel-guzzling airplanes, jets, and so on, and then at the same time speak against all the fossil fuels and so on. Confusion, deception. The speakers, I would suggest to you, for the most part, are false prophets, false teachers, false this and false that. Come on. You can or maybe not agree with me, but I'm only looking at it from the spiritual point of view of being warned that in the last days we're going to see so much deception, we will take deception and receive it as truth. Think about the last 2.5, 3 years of this pandemic we have gone through. We are still facing pandemic restrictions in our society today. And a lot of what they were telling us back when this began and what we had to do and why we had to do it has now proven to be not accurate. Not accurate at all. So once again, false prophets, false teachers. We followed them willingly without even proof that anything was right. So we are in a time when false prophecies and deception, as referred to in the book of Matthew, are on steroids, as I like to say, and we're not paying any attention to that fact. It won't be long until this will usher in the very end. See you tomorrow. Call you blessed.